Yo, what up, football family? I'm glad you guys came back. Hopefully you're watching this. This week I kind of want to touch on the NFC East a little bit, if you can tell. I just want to start off by saying some of the free agent acquisitions that I had in my last video, some of the guys that I feel like should go certain places, didn't go where I thought they should have went. Kind of sucked. Can't get them all right, but hey, you know, what else. But starting in the NFC East, I feel like Washington, they're a good team. Obviously, you have RG3 out there, you have Pierre Garçon, and you have a lot of other key pieces you can build off of if you're Washington. But I definitely feel like your focal points going into this offseason, or things you're looking at, is you need to continuously build on your defense. You need to do something with that defense. And really, the one thing that killed that defense last year was that pass defense. You know, the secondary, not really their pass rushers. I feel like they have two of the better pass rushers in the NFL right now. You see that they they locked up Brian Arakpo on the tag, which was a very smart move. They needed to bring him back. So now you have, I feel like, one of the better tandems in the NFL when it comes to pass rush. Not better than ours, but you do have a good tandem there. You definitely need to get that center of your defense strong. And I mean, you know, your linebackers, your D tackles, that part of the defense needs to, I feel like, be bigger and be stronger. Especially in the division that they're in, I feel like if you do that, then you're ready to roll. And your safety and your secondary help. I've seen that they just picked up Tracy Porter, if I read correctly. But you definitely need safety help on that team. I feel like they just don't have enough ball-hawking guys or just enough playmakers in that secondary that really give them a chance to win games. And I feel like that's what they really need looking at this team. And then offensively, I mean, really, the key piece there is probably the number two need on that team is another receiver. Pierre Garçon is a good receiver, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not a big Pierre Garçon fan, but I feel like definitely you need to bring in somebody else to either take over or at least release some of that load off of Pierre Garçon, because that is necessary at this point in time. And, I mean, I like Alfred Morris, you know, going forward with him. But you definitely just need to get somebody else in there to take off that pressure on the passing game and just get the ball out a little bit sooner. Also, looking at the Dallas Cowboys. That's another team in the NFC I want to talk about. But the Dallas Cowboys are another team that I feel like they also needs to bring in another receiver. But it's like need number 3, maybe need number 4, because Dez Bryant really can't do it on his own. So you really need to bring in somebody that can take over some of the load and not just completely make Dez the guy. We know Dez is a number 1, and he can take over the game and do what he has to do. But I feel like you need to bring in somebody else to at least release some of that load. And we know what Jason Witten can do. Jason Witten can work the middle all day long. But eventually, that's not going to be enough in today's NFL. So then, I feel like you bring in another receiver if you're Dallas. But I feel like your number 1 need if you're Dallas is obviously replacing DeMarcus Ware. I mean, anybody in the NFL knows that now. You're out there to replace DeMarcus Ware. So what you need to do is you need to find some kind of pass rush. You need to generate some kind of pass rush. And I don't know how they're going to do that, but I feel like that's something they need to take a look at through free agency or the draft. I noticed a lot of the good pass rushing guys that they could have went out and picked up are gone. And I just know Dallas doesn't have all that money right now to sign a lot of guys. But you need to find some way. I mean, blitz schemes, whatever, it's out there. Everybody knows how to do it. You can blitz with nothing and still get something. So I feel like if you're Dallas, you got to find a way to generate a pass rush. At least get one guy out there again. I mean, if you can just find one person to trade for, or whatever the case may be. But then also in the secondary half, they need to get better safety play with that team. If they get a little bit better safety play, you'll actually see this team do a complete 180 from where they were last year. And I feel like in that defensive scheme that they need a good safety. They need a strong safety back there. And just bringing that pass rush. So if you're Dallas, your needs are pass rush. That just went to the top of the list. Generate a pass rush and defending against the pass. And then bringing in a number 2 receiver. Because I feel like if you go in that order, if you're Dallas, you set yourself up for success and at least a chance to win this division. There's clearly, I mean, it's a wide open division when you actually look at it. I don't feel like there's no number 1 contender. Moving on to the New York Giants. I feel like the New York Giants is a team that losing Hakeem Nicks can hurt them, because I don't feel like in my heart that Victor Cruz is a number 1. He's not a number 1 in my heart. And I know they're trying to find this running game that they had a few years back when they made their Super Bowl runs and so forth and so on. I think that's something that they do need to get back to. They definitely need offensive line help. I mean, this team has holes left and right. I mean, they still need I feel like they still can generate a pass rush with what they got in the front four, because that's just what New York Giants have been known for the last couple of years. Also, I feel like the secondary help, once again, I mean that secondary help is a need, and also, but if I was to list their needs 1, 2, 3, it would be the linebackers. I feel like you just gotta get a playmaker linebacker on that team. You gotta get somebody that can fly sideline to sideline and just demand so much from that defense. And that's something the Giants have never had. I feel like that's something that they need to start switching to, especially the defensive scheme that they're sitting in. So if you're Giants, you definitely want to address your linebacker and just get that dominant guy out there. Get that guy that can just take over a game. And your safety play, once again, I feel like they could use safety help, but not as much. Maybe, I mean, thinking about their corners now, I like where their corners are at and some of the guys that they have on their roster. But I feel like if you get like a LaRon Landry out there, get somebody that can just be dominating, Cam Chancellor, somebody that can literally just demand so much from that secondary, and have a guy back there that make a receiver think twice going deep or going across the middle. And then also, I feel like on the offensive side of the ball, they need to address this offensive line situation. I feel like the Giants never really got their offensive line intact ever. I feel like they just had a whole bunch of maulers, and they could just run the ball, control the clock, and go that way. But I feel like you need to do something with your offensive line and just bring in some guys that are really going to help you win games and protect Eli Manning from, taking as many hits as he did. So basically, the Giants need to address, in my mind, it would be offensive line, linebacker, and then secondary. I mean, receiver, yes, but the Giants, I don't know how they do it, but they can produce any receiver. I mean, they produced Mario Manningham, they produced Victor Cruz, they got lucky when they drafted Hakeem Nicks. So they've always had some kind of receiver on their roster. So I dropped that receiver down to like number 4 for this team, but I feel like that's still a need of theirs. And the last team in that division is the Eagles. The Eagles, they've showed that they can be a really great offense when clicking on all cylinders, and a scary offense nonetheless. And so that's why you see me list a lot of secondary on all the other teams, because the Eagles, they can take the top off at any moment and do whatever they feel like, whenever they feel like. And so when you think about that, if you're a division rival, that's something that you want to take into consideration. But the Philadelphia Eagles, I really like when you look at their roster, is not a lot of scary holes, but there's still holes on their roster. I definitely feel like a corner, a really solid number 1 corner would be nice. And I think they just picked up Malcolm Jenkins. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure I did. I probably should have did my research before I made this video, but it's all good. But I'm pretty sure they picked up Malcolm Jenkins. So that really shores up something in that secondary. But I definitely feel like you have to get that number 1 dominant corner, that guy that can really take a receiver out of the game if you're Philadelphia. I like their pass rush. I feel like it can only get better from this point. And really, I think if you're Philadelphia, you're one of your not top needs, but definitely up there in the top, probably one out of 2. It's probably getting a linebacker. I feel like once again, you just got to get a dominant linebacker, get somebody who can take over a game. It doesn't necessarily have to be a middle linebacker. It could be an outside linebacker because of the system they run, but just a guy that a lot of people have to take in consideration when he's on the field. A guy that you can say, all right, he's on the field, let me take care of this. So if you're Philadelphia, that's something that you need to look at. And so if you're a list of Philadelphia needs, it would be, in my mind, would be corner, linebacker, and really defensive linemen. Because offensively, I like where they're at. They re-signed Riley Cooper. They got Deshaun Jackson. And I'm not a big Riley Cooper fan, but he's on the roster. And Chip Kelly knows what he's doing. And then, they still got Shady McCoy, and Nick Foles is looking good. And they got pretty good tight ends as well. So you have a lot there and when you think about Philadelphia offensively. So addressing your offense is not a need or concern right away, but it's way down on the list. Anywhere, But, so, that's my outtake on the NFC East. Let me guys know what you think of it. That's really all I had. Next week, hopefully to do something different. I'm trying to get some jerseys and some hats to do some of my AFC teams. So, help me out if you guys can. Post some links and some websites so I can get some stuff. I hope to talk to you guys next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Go football.